After a disappointing loss to the Seattle Seahawks, the San Francisco 49ers were faced with the prospect of traveling to Cincinnati and winning a tough game on the road to keep pace in the playoff race. Both teams have played extremely well at times this year, and both teams have a lot of playmakers. So this was going to be an uphill battle for the visiting team. And football fans were treated to a fantastic game. So let's get right into it and look at the film. Eagle-eyed viewers will notice the first play we're going to look at is out of the punting formation. And that's because Cincinnati had trouble fielding these punts all night long. And this would definitely be an equalizing factor in this game. San Francisco would accept the gift of 3 points. Now let's take a look at the kickoff after the field goal. And again, the Bengals have trouble fielding this ball. Now in this case, they fall on it. But this would really tell the tale of the entire first half for Cincinnati in this game. Now Cincinnati would go on a nice long drive, and here we can see they're set up to kick a field goal of their own. But the line of scrimmage is the 19-yard line, and the line to gain is the 18-yard line. And a lot of folks felt like at home in a big game like this, they probably could have gone for that. Zach Taylor did the opposite. He decided he wasn't going to let his emotions dictate how he was going to call this game. He knew he was playing a very tough and savvy opponent in the San Francisco 49ers, and he took a more conservative route. He took the 3 points. So the score is tied 3-3. Okay, let's move ahead to another play in the second quarter. I know it might seem like we're jumping around a lot here, but there's a lot of great plays in this game, and as we know, this one went extra long. So I want to make sure I can show you guys everything I possibly can. So we're going to skip some stuff early. Alright, the Niners are going to pull Tom Compton on this play and hand the ball to Deebo Samuel. Definitely their best playmaker this year, and one of the best playmakers in the NFL. But check out the block of Juwan Jennings, who really helps make this play happen for Deebo Samuel and the 49ers. Deebo takes it 27 yards for the touchdown. Let's go back to the snap. One thing to notice early is how the motion of Jeff Wilson Jr. makes it impossible for the Bengals to really be too sure about what the 49ers are doing here. After all, who's to say Deebo Samuel isn't following him around the other direction? Now the linebacker Joe Bocci does try to go straight into the backfield to make the play, but he's almost comically late here. Deebo's just too fast for that to happen. He needs to try to beat him to the sideline instead. And the same thing is true for Von Bell. Now Bell does head right in that direction, but he does hesitate for just a split second first, and it's already too late. Niners tack on the extra point, making the score 10-3. Now there was no way I could skip this next play. It didn't gain a lot of yards or even lead to a score, but it ended up being one of the most talked about plays from this game because look how many Bengals it takes to bring George Kittle down. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With 2 more right there, just in case. 8 Bengals surrounded Kittle. And that speaks volumes about the best tight end in the league. Ultimately, that would bring up a 3rd down. Let's see how the Bengals defend it. They start off with 1 safety up high. And they only rush 3. They drop a lot of players back in the coverage. They're going to take away the short and intermediate routes from San Francisco. But that does leave George Kittle one-on-one up top. And you can see he does have just a step on the defender. And Garoppolo throws an absolute dime here. It's a perfect throw, but he can't come up with the football. Let's see if we can find out why. Notice Garoppolo looks the safety off. Now right here you can see the defender has grabbed Kittle's other arm and is holding it down. Kittle is trying to make a one-handed catch here. You see that one hand go up. And because he was grabbing Kittle's left hand, maybe the near side official didn't see it. The official who was further away maybe had a better view of it, but he's further away. And watch the body language of George Kittle and Kyle Shanahan. Neither one of them jumped up to protest this. They simply accepted the play as it happened and moved on. And so will we. This pass by Burrow was not good. Directly into the arms of a 49er. But you can see there's a flag on the field. So let's take a look. At the bottom, we see Ambry Thomas is defending Jamar Chase one-on-one. And he's playing press coverage here. Now, watch as he extends his hands, and it's a funny thing. Your hands go up, and he gets them right in the face, and you're not allowed to do that. That's a penalty. And really, what he needs to work on is not sticking his hands out and trying to hold him there. Your goal isn't to hold the receiver at the line of scrimmage. You're not going to be able to do that. All you have to do is disrupt the timing of his route just slightly. And in fact, it did. And it caused the errant throw, but you can't put your hands on his face. Again, it puts the Bengals in position to kick a field goal. Now the line to gain is the 8-yard line, and the line of scrimmage is the 10. It's 2 yards, but again, they could have gone for this if they wanted to. Instead, they decide to kick, and so the score is 10-6. Here the 49ers are facing a key 3rd down and long, and there's only about a minute and change left in the half. So they would like to complete this and get some points, but they're in a position where they have to pick up a lot of yardage here. They have a couple of guys underneath, but the line to gain is the 36-yard line. They're not even going to sniff that. It also looks like there's a receiver coming open over the middle, but he's running directly into coverage. Now let's take a look at the Bengals safety. He's frozen in the middle of the field there, mesmerized either by that route or he's just looking right down the pike at Garoppolo. But importantly, he's on the far hash, and this is when we start to see the route of Travis Benjamin start to come open. Garoppolo would like to throw this ball, but he's got to wait for Awuzie to sit on the route of Brandon Ayuk first, before Benjamin comes open. So Garoppolo is going to have to attempt a very long throw here, and he does. Watch as this ball travels 60 yards in the air. Now that's a big time long distance throw, but it did hang up in the air because it had to travel so far, and Garoppolo had to wait to throw it. Awuzie is able to catch up to it and make a play on the ball, and the result is an incomplete pass. And that's not necessarily unprecedented when it comes to very long throws like this. Let me show you a play by Tom Brady back after the 2007 season in Super Bowl 42. Let's take a look at the game situation. New England is down by 3, and there's only 17 seconds left, and they're on their own 10-yard line. They've got to go a long way in a hurry. Now watch as Tom Brady throws this ball 65 yards in the air, and Randy Moss has a step, but the ball hangs up in the air so long, the defense is able to catch up and make a play on the football. And that's kind of the same thing that happened to the 49ers. Now, in this new era of quarterbacks that are able to make these kinds of throws on a rope, that's a different story. It sort of speaks to what the 49ers find so attractive about Trey Lance. And you think about how other teams in the league are moving in that direction, right? Josh Allen's a great example with the Buffalo Bills. It's a good example of the type of player that the 49ers feel is the future of the league and why they're making a business decision with Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay, let's move on. So remember, that was 3rd down, and now the Niners have to punt. And there's the football. Again, the Bengals cannot handle the kick. This ball is up for grabs, and it is recovered by the San Francisco 49ers. Wow. Darius Phillips can't handle the kick, and it's Trent Sherfield who recovers. Sherfield making big contributions to this team. So now with just 1:07 left, the 49ers are going to try to exploit this and get some points. And this would be big because remember, the Bengals are already down 10-6. But so far they've held, and here the 49ers are facing another third down. Now Garoppolo starts out checking out the position of this safety, and he sees him kind of sitting there, and it looks like the 49ers are going to have a receiver come open late. But with that safety kind of lurking right there, Garoppolo decides to move to his next read. He just doesn't like it. Now as it turns out, the safety is actually moving to his side, kind of right when Garoppolo moves his feet to move on to his next read at the same time. And the pass rush for the Bengals is starting to close around that 49ers pocket. So Garoppolo decides to throw the ball away. Remember, we're at the end of the half, so time is precious, and he preserves those precious seconds by stopping the clock, and he doesn't take a sack, which would make the field goal more difficult. And for the Bengals defense, this should also be a huge win. They've turned the ball over, but they successfully held the 49ers to just a field goal here. But then safety Von Bell does one of the most colossally stupid acts I've ever seen. He takes the ball and points it right in the face of 49ers center Alex Mack and incurs a back-breaking taunting penalty for the Bengals. And this is an area of enforcement this year, so they really should know better. Von Bell has got to do better than this. It gives the 49ers an automatic first down and another shot at the end zone. And as the Bengals would learn in this game multiple times, if you give players and teams a second chance like that in the NFL, they will burn you every time. Garoppolo makes his first read to the right, doesn't like what he sees. So he resets his feet and makes his second read over the middle. He's not open. So he resets his feet again and finds George Kittle. And the timing of these progressions is perfect. He hits Kittle right in the corner, and the Niners get a big touchdown right before the half, 16-6 with just 18 seconds left. And Robbie Gould makes it 17-6. And Cincinnati's got some work to do in the second half. But as we move to the third quarter, it's the Niners who have the ball. And we see Brandon Ayuk is coming open on a play that looks similar to the Benjamin play in the first half. But this time the safety goes with him. Now there's an area in the middle of the field for Deebo Samuel. But this is pretty tight coverage, so Garoppolo rifles this ball in there. And we get another Devontae Adams pirouette there. Deebo just makes it look so easy, and it's a big gain for the 49ers. And look at the time Garoppolo has to throw this pass. Later on, Garoppolo finds Kittle on the run-pass option. As Cincinnati's getting a little tired of Garoppolo carving them up, so here they send a big-time blitz, 6 men, and there is nobody back deep for the Bengals. There is 0 safeties on the field, and George Kittle, who's already having a big day, takes the space the defense left behind. Here, Brandon Ayuk uses some nice footwork to lose his defender. It's very similar to the beautiful route Tyler Lockett ran in Seattle. And Garoppolo throws another nice pass. That was a dart. Now you see the fan, assistant coach's kid, whoever on the sideline waving it off, incomplete. And he is correct. The officials ruled that a touchdown. But upon further review, Ayuk was not able to get both feet in bounds. So this brings up a 3rd and goal for the 49ers. Initially, it looks like Kyle Juszczyk is open, and Garoppolo sees him. But here, Garoppolo gets happy feet, and he starts scrambling around. He can't find anyone. And ultimately, they're just unable to make a play, and the Niners would have to settle for a field goal here. Garoppolo didn't make many mistakes today, but this was one of them. Nevertheless, Robbie Gould makes the chip shot field goal, making the score 20-6. Down 2 touchdowns, the Bengals have got to get something going. And initially, it looks like Joe Burrow has a lot of time. And we all know if you give quarterbacks enough time, eventually they'll find someone open. But if you give Nick Bosa enough time, eventually he'll get to the quarterback. And on this play, he wins. But this play would be called back due to a penalty. Let's see if we can find out what happened. Look at the bottom of your screen, and again we see Ambry Thomas with an illegal hands to the face on Jamar Chase. It's very frustrating if you're a 49ers fan to see that happen. Now, of course, Thomas didn't mean to do that. He's just sticking his hands straight out, but, try it. Stick your hands straight out, and they tend to go up toward the person's face. Now, I don't want to be too hard on Ambry Thomas. The rookie defensive back was kind of pressed into service for this game. We send our condolences, of course, to Dante Johnson, whose mother suffered an untimely heart attack. And we know Dante has played on the team for a number of years, and of course we just, wish him and his family the best. So, as a result, the Bengals were able to continue their drive, and they set themselves up for a field goal attempt. And as you can see, the Bengals mascot tells the story of what happened on this field goal. The Niners are up 2 scores in the 4th quarter. They're in total control of this game. Jimmy Garoppolo is in complete command. Just look at his shoulders. Looks like they've gotten bigger. And then Jimmy Garoppolo does Jimmy Garoppolo things. He fumbles the football. It just slips out of his hand. It's a very strange play. You see it every once in a while in the NFL. Jimmy Garoppolo with the strip sack of Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, we can kid around all we want about this, but it would represent a major turning point in this game. Here we see that all the receivers for the Bengals are covered. And, to make matters worse, it's 4th down. Down 2 scores in the 4th quarter, they felt compelled to go for it here. But it gets even worse than that for the Bengals. Eric Armstead has beaten his man and is about to sack Joe Burrow. The most natural move would be to run in this direction. But Armstead has the angle on him. So Burrow hits the spin button and escapes trouble. And he keeps his eyes downfield and sees Jamar Chase. And Chase just buys time in the back of the end zone until Burrow is able to get him the football. It's just what the doctor ordered for the Bengals. And for Joe Burrow and rookie phenom Jamar Chase, they continue to build on the chemistry they have long developed. They knock through the extra point, and now we've got a ball game. It's 49ers 20, Bengals 13. And they would get the ball back. But check out K'Wan Williams coming on the corner blitz here. Just file this play away for later. The teams would exchange punts, and late in the 4th quarter, Cincinnati would set up a deep shot. Tyler Boyd looks to be coming wide open underneath. And check out the position of Josh Norman. He's, in fact, out of position here. And that's because, with T. Higgins running into the pattern, the safety is responsible for picking him up. And it kind of reminded me back to this play in the Rams game. Let's take a look. In this case, Josh Norman is letting the receiver again get behind him, Odell Beckham Jr. But here he has safety help. Jimmy Ward can come over because there's nobody else that he's responsible for on the play. Now if we go back to the Cincinnati game, we see that Jaquiski Tartt is unable to come over and help because he's got to worry about T. Higgins. Also notice Norman keeping an eye on Uzomah on this play. The Bengals exploited the Niners' zone defense by running multiple receivers onto that side of the field, and the result is a big gain for Cincinnati. What do you need to throw the ball deep? Time. And here Arden Key just misses out on Joe Burrow. Alright, there's only a minute 25 left in the game. The Niners drop 2 safeties back. But Jaquiski Tartt is going to step up here, while Jimmy Ward hangs back deep. Jamar Chase, at the top of your screen, will give his man a move to the inside. And when Ambry Thomas bites on that move, Chase will cut deep to the corner. I would like to see the 49ers give Ambry Thomas some help here. Slide Jimmy Ward over to help him out. I'm sure they're thinking, of course, if they do that, maybe Tyler Boyd is the one that ends up cutting up the field. But I think you gotta double team Cincinnati's #1 threat on this play, because Jamar Chase against Ambry Thomas is a bad matchup. In fact, Jamar Chase one-on-one against anybody in the NFL is a bad matchup these days. Nick Bosa, again, almost got there with the pressure. And check out his handwork on this play. For Chase and the Bengals, it's a huge rally. Back-to-back touchdowns late in the fourth quarter in a game where they trailed for the entire time. And the score is now tied at 20 apiece. But they left too much time for Jimmy Garoppolo. And with just a minute 15 left in the game, the 49ers dial up a deep shot of their own. And Cincinnati defends this pretty aggressively with 6 men up at the line of scrimmage. But only 4 of them are going to come on the pass rush. The 2 linebackers will drop back, and Cincinnati leaves 2 safeties way back deep. They don't want to get burned for a long touchdown by Brandon Ayuk here. And in fact, let's look at the stem of Brandon Ayuk's route. You can see that middle linebacker Jermaine Pratt is looking right at him. And it appears as if Ayuk is running right into his area. So Pratt takes his eyes off of Ayuk and looks at the quarterback. Maybe he can try to time this throw. As a result, when Brandon Ayuk cuts the other way, there's nobody there. Remember, they're keeping those safeties way back deep so they can't get burned for a long touchdown. And Garoppolo has already started his throwing motion just when Brandon Ayuk starts to make his break. From this angle, we can see that while Pratt was looking at Garoppolo, Garoppolo was looking at him, just kind of holding everything right in the middle of the field. On the next play, again, we see Garoppolo staring directly at the safety, Jesse Bates. He's trying to hold him in the middle of the field again. This time for Brandon Ayuk to cut to the inside. But this time the Bengals are ready. And as soon as Garoppolo shifts his feet, shifts his eyes to the other side, Bates breaks into a full-on sprint to try to pick off this ball. And it almost worked. This is the margin between winning and losing in the NFL. And if you're the Bengals defense, you simply can't miss on opportunities like that. If you give an NFL quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo a second opportunity, they can and will burn you with it. Now the play does bring up a 3rd down and 10. So if Cincinnati can hold here, they can take the game into overtime, take their chances there. And at first glance, this play appears to be well defended. Now it does look like the 49ers have a man open underneath, but the line to gain is the 38-yard line. He's not going to get close to that. But check out George Kittle. He has position on his defender. It looks like Von Bell. And his back is turned. Garoppolo might be able to get this ball over him. In the Seattle game, we praised Jimmy Garoppolo for giving Kittle a nice easy ball to catch late in the game. That kind of throw isn't going to work here. For one thing, there's a defender lurking behind, just waiting for a play like that. If Jimmy tries that throw now, this ball will be intercepted. So Garoppolo decides to fire a dart. He rifles this ball out there to where only George Kittle can get it. And Kittle makes a spectacular catch, and the Niners are in business. Not the most accurate throw, not the worst throw, but Kittle with definitely the best catch. The play sets up Robbie Gould for the game-winning field goal with just 4 seconds left. And he missed. We are going into overtime, and the Bengals have to feel pretty good about their chances here. The Niner defense wasn't really able to stop the Bengals offense late in the game. Remember, they got those 2 scores late in the fourth quarter. If Cincinnati kicks a field goal, the Niners will have a chance to match. But if they can score a touchdown here, the game will be over. Let's take a look at their approach. The Bengals send a running back out of the backfield to run a pattern. And this occupies Josh Norman. And again, they run a receiver right behind him. Now, Fred Warner's there, and he carries his man maybe a little too far upfield, and the result is a wide open T. Higgins. And this is exactly what the Bengals are looking for to start overtime. The Bengals offense has been getting it done through the air in this game. Here they try to sneak in a run, and it doesn't go so well for them. So Cincinnati, very correctly in my opinion, decides to go right back to the skies. And here we see the tight end, C.J. Uzomah, pretending to block and then going out for a pass route. The Bengals have put themselves in perfect position to take several shots with Jamar Chase, but instead they go back to the ground, and the 49er defense has to be feeling a little bit grateful for that, because they were on their heels a little bit. After back-to-back running plays, Cincinnati appears to be playing for a field goal here. And on third down, it's Nick Bosa who makes sure that's exactly all the Bengals are going to get. Now, Nick Bosa is the 49ers' superstar pass rusher, and he rightly gets the credit for this sack. But it was the blitz of K'Wan Williams that made this play happen. Because check out C.J. Uzomah. Again, he's called in to help with pass protection. But here he has to pick up the blitzing Williams. He would like to help with protection against Nick Bosa, but he can't. And the result is Nick Bosa one-on-one against the right tackle, and that is no matchup. Nevertheless, the Bengals do kick the field goal to go up by a score of 23-20. And if San Francisco does not at least match on this possession, Cincinnati will be awarded the win. Now, I'm sure they were thinking, okay, we've got the field goal. We don't want to do anything reckless, take any chances. Let's make sure we get the 3 points and put the pressure on San Francisco. But in the NFL, you've got to go for the kill when you have the opportunity. I thought Zach Taylor played too conservatively in this game, and it's about to cost his team dearly. Now, Garoppolo can't throw outside the numbers. Except that he can. You didn't fall for that, did you? The beautiful back shoulder fade to Jauan Jennings, easily Garoppolo's best pass of the game, and maybe even the year. Great throw, and the Niners come out swinging. And Jauan Jennings is feeling himself, and rightly so. He's just made a huge catch, and he is quickly becoming an essential part of this offense. On the previous play, the Bengals rushed 4. So here, they decide to send a blitz, 5 men. But to protect themselves, they drop back into a deep zone. Sending the blitz can be risky, and they don't want George Kittle to burn them for a long touchdown. So here, Kittle just takes the space the defense left behind. The 49ers are marching right down the field, and I'm sure Cincinnati's thinking, maybe we should have tried to score that touchdown. What do you need to throw the ball deep? Say it with me now. Time. And check out the pass protection that Garoppolo has on this play. They even left Jermichael Hasty in the backfield to help, and he has no one to block. Garoppolo and the Niners are hitting on all cylinders. Through the air, and here it's the Niners who try to sneak one in on the ground. And look who it is lined up in the backfield, Deebo Samuel. Now this play had a purpose. The entire offensive line moves to their left, and the Bengals defense reacts very aggressively. And they successfully stop the play. So what was the purpose of that play? Well, it will be made clear in just a moment. The 49ers go back to the air one more time, and here you see the defender taking an outside technique. So George Kittle takes the inside, and Garoppolo is all over it. The Niners offense has executed flawlessly on this drive. Great players and great teams aren't always great. They're just great when they have to be, and they've set themselves up for success. How would you win the game? They go back to the ground. Jeff Wilson Jr. will follow the entire offensive line, which is moving to their right, and the Bengals defense reacts aggressively in that direction. And that's unfortunate, because this isn't a run. It's a pass. Brandon Ayuk cuts back the other way, and now the purpose of the play to Deebo Samuel becomes clear. It was to set the Bengals up for this play. Ayuk comes wide open, and Garoppolo hits him for the game-winning touchdown. Now strangely, the officials ruled that he was out of bounds on this play, and the side judge has a real clear view here. George Kittle knew it was a touchdown, and he's further away. But check out the reaction of the 49er fans in the stands, because they all knew it was a touchdown. Now I don't have to tell you my opinion on replay officials, but here they get it right. Brandon Ayuk stays in bounds the entire time and gets that ball across the pylon. 49ers win the game. Well, what a game for the San Francisco 49ers. Just when it looked like they were in total and complete control, the Bengals mounted a furious comeback. And that's not unexpected, right? We know the Bengals are a team that is probably going to make the playoffs themselves in the AFC, and they fought to the bitter end. And then when San Francisco's offense needed to step up, they delivered a flawless final drive to win the game. Jimmy Garoppolo had his best game of the year. He was absolutely outstanding. There was the dropped strip sack, one of those weird things where the ball just kind of came out. That sort of thing happens in the NFL. You would like for him to secure that ball a little better in that situation. Obviously, with the game in total and complete control, need to make sure you secure that win. The interception late in the game doesn't really bother me so much. It's hardly the most egregious near miss we've seen this year, and nobody remembers it if you win the game, right? At the end of the season, when we look back on these wins and losses, people are going to be thinking about that final play to Ayuk. So, the question that we answer every week on this channel, where do the 49ers go from here? With the loss to Seattle last week, the 49ers really wanted to win this game in Cincinnati. I thought it was going to be a tough road contest for them, and it was. But they delivered in a big way. So now, they've set themselves up for a postseason run. They have the Atlanta Falcons at home next. Definitely a winnable game. After that, they've got a tough trip to Tennessee. Now, if they drop that game, they'll still have a winning record. Then they're at home against the Houston Texans, and they would secure a winning record if they win that game. And even if they lose to the Rams in Week 17, that would give them a final total of 9-8. Certainly enough to make the playoffs in the NFC. Ultimately, this comes away as a big road win for the San Francisco 49ers. With the playoffs on the line, they don't get much bigger than this. Huge game. Enjoy it. Enjoy the game against the Atlanta Falcons. It takes a long time to make a video like this. If you could give me just 10 seconds and hit that like button for me, I would really appreciate it. All right, it's Niners, it's Falcons. It's going to be a great game on Sunday. And whatever happens, we will be here to break down that film, and I will see you guys then.